19, the review of council's policies for dealing with press and media. Again, anyone? Councillor Bexhill.
Yes, I'd like to add an amendment to this policy. Under item 7, social media, I'd like to amend it in this way, that the clerk does not promote building developers on our social media pages. Thank you.
So, can you just repeat that, please?
Yes, I would like to say that the clerk should not promote building developers on our social media pages.
Is that an addition to the to this?
Yes.
It's an additional clause.
Yes.
Any particular?
We're currently advertising builders on their houses. People can buy. We shouldn't be having that on our council. So thank you.
Okay. Is there any particular place you would like that on here? Do you want item 9 to have that comment on there? Or do you want it anywhere else in the policy?
I'd like it under item 7.
Social media.
So, on social media?
Yes,
so
please.
Item 7, it will be item 7.5 then, yeah? You'll put forward a new clause in.
Yes.
Councillor Thomas.
Can I just say, Chair, that I'm not necessarily against that. It's an interesting proposition. I'm curious to know what exact examples of promotion of builders have taken place. And I just want to just thinking aloud, okay, I may wish to retract this later, but I can see there might be, if there was, for example, social housing available to people, we might want to let people who are in need of social housing know that it's available. And I wouldn't want to stop the town council from doing that. So just more details would be useful, Sharon.
Thank you, Councillor Bexhill.
This is just blatant advertising for just one developer, and it's not right no matter which way you look at it, because we're not an advertising site. In a minute you'll get the other developers coming on and they'll want some advertising. We'll be selling houses before you know it. That is not our remit, and I don't want to see it. Thank you.
Okay. Any comments regarding the proposal put forward? Councillor Thompson.
Sorry, I didn't get an answer to my question, which was which particular developer is being promoted. As I say, I'm not necessarily against your cause, I'm just curious.
I don't want to get into details of specific developments that are on there, or have a to and fro conversation regarding this.
I'd suggest he reads the website, the Facebook
We've
page.
had a proposal for an amendment put forward to this policy. We're discussing the actual proposal rather than the actual reasonings behind it. Councillor Thomas.
Can I just say, no, I don't agree with that, because it does matter what particular kind of builder is being promoted. And it does make a difference. There's a big difference between promoting a private builder advertising for profit and a social enterprise which is offering housing to people who are in need of it. I think that's a worthwhile distinction to make.
Okay, Councillor Brownson.
Yeah, if that was amended to say you should not promote commercial builders, because that did cause quite a lot of comments on Facebook. Because it also quoted the price of the properties that were for sale by that builder. It was probably a press release, but I didn't feel comfortable to see that last paragraph that actually mentioned the price of the property. It looks, to me, we may have been seen to be advocating it.
Councillor Winter, you raised your hand?
No, it's okay. Councillor Barrows.
Councillor Rose.
Can I ask him, are we okay to promote restaurants? We're choosing to say can't promote builders. Does that mean there's no clause to say can't promote restaurants, vets? I don't know.
This is the venue where we end.
I think
Councillor Russell.
Builders.
Councillor Russell.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a bit too specific to put in this policy as it is, and a further discussion needs to be made at committee.
Point taken. Councillor Bexhill.
I'd just like to say those houses are £425,000. I don't think you're going to find that they are social housing.
Okay, that's a comment on that particular head rather than the actual amendment you're proposing.
That's just a comment.
What I propose to do is take up Councillor Ruston's point there, because we need to get this policy in place, and I don't want to bog this meeting down because there's loads of policies in here. I suggest we bring this up by the Finance and General Purpose Committee, who will review these particular policies, and put the amendment in place then, as per most other amendments for these policies. Happy for that?
Yes, thank you. I'll do that as a member of the public then.
Okay, moving on now we've got to vote on this policy then. So item 19, Councillor Drayton.
I don't think you do. I think it's to vote on deferring it. The proposal has been made to defer it, and I would second Councillor Austin's. Because if we approve it tonight, we're bogged down again.
Who's that one?
Yeah, point taken. We will defer. I will vote to defer this item to a following full council meeting, or to the next appropriate full council meeting, which will be the finance meeting. We'll refer it to finance. So, all that, Councillor Gibson.
Sorry, can I just clarify that? Does that mean the existing policy stays in place until we've agreed this one, so we still have a policy? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the existing policy is in place. Okay. All those in favour of deferring this, please raise your hands. That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay, item 20, the review of the Council's employment policies and procedures. Councillor Baker.
Yes, I'm sorry, this is a little bit lengthy, but the following policies were certainly not adopted by this council on the 9th of June.
For some reason it's not, I can't hear you.
Okay, my microphone's on. Okay, I will do. Yes, the following policies were not adopted by this council on June the 9th, as is written. This is the first time we are seeing them. The grievance policy, disciplinary policy, sickness and absence policy, health and safety policy, expenses policy, and travel and expenses claim form are not on any minutes, they're not on any emails, even from the previous clerk, and they are certainly not on any agenda. Thank you.
Okay, points are noted. Any comments, Councillor Ruston?
Yeah, I'd be quite open and say that that's quite worrying if it's the first time that we've seen it. As a member of HR that's meant to be supporting that current staff, and it's the first time that these policies have been seen, that doesn't sit in very good light.
Yeah. Points again noted. Any other further comments? Councillor Baldwin.
Sorry, I've got a microphone, but I'll try my voice. Just to say that we have been told that they're on the website. We know there was some confusion about what happened before. So I certainly, if you now go to the website, you can see those policies. So we can adopt them now because we were asked to look at them on the website. That was how I understood it anyway.
Councillor Baker.
I don't think so.
Again, your points are noted.
It's been written, you know, it's been written in the document, the public have seen it, we've all seen it, and it blatantly says that these were adopted in June last year. They definitely were not. And I might have missed out something in my last little speech, which is there are 7 councillors in this room that actually have had the disciplinary and the grievance policy ones, and the rest of them have not. Thank you.
Councillor Whitton.
They definitely were not adopted on the 9th of June, especially the grievance policy, because it actually states in the grievance policy that any complaints would go to Wilden District Council. So if we did, as 18 councillors, agree that on the 9th of June, then I'm pretty sure one of us would have brought that up on the 9th of June. If you check the minutes, agendas and emails, no mention on the minutes, which are a legal document, of grievance, disciplinary, health and safety. They do not mention it in the minutes. And as we've been told before, that the minutes are a legal document and they have to be correct, otherwise a member of the public or a councillor could take them to do judicial review. So I would argue that they were not, none of them, 6 or whatever it is, were not adopted on the 9th of June.
Okay, the points are noted. We are dealing with the adoption of the policies here rather than retrospectively looking back at this particular motion. Councillor Johnson.
Yes, just a comment about it's now on the website. We could have looked. They were updated on the 10th of May. Today is the 18th. Some of us have got other things to do rather than trying to read 6 policies in 8 days.
Points are noted. Okay, any further comments? Okay, Councillor Browser.
I don't know, so it's a genuine question. Is there an opportunity whereby we could review these and just confirm our agreement rather than just leave it up in the air?
Again, it will refer to review these policies, to scrutinise them further in the finance and general purposes.
I feel very comfortable with that because we were very new councillors then and we were given a folder full of these things and it was so overwhelming. I didn't get a chance to take it in and I'd like to go through it and be more confident with it.
The opportunity will be there via the finance and general purposes and the HR committee. It's standard practice to adopt the policies and then review as they go through.
Could we review these and then
Thank you. Councillor Bainborough.
So we for sure can't debate these and make any decisions on them as the Deputy Chair would like to do, because nobody's read them, nobody knows what's in them.
We can debate them. It's up to the finance and general purposes to put it through the system there. What we're looking at is to adopt the policies as per the rest of the policies at this annual general meeting.
So are you saying they're not adopted?
I do understand that you have a complaint that's been pushed through at the moment, and it does refer to this particular item.
Well,
so
in answer to that...
Therefore, until we've reviewed these procedures, your particular points that you're raising, which are retrospective points, I would suggest you await the outcome of the complaint that you raised.
Thank you for reminding me about the complaint, which I didn't bring up in here tonight. But that is not what I'm speaking about. I'm speaking about it's been written by the clerk that these were adopted last year, and they were not. And everybody in this room knows that. Thank you.
Councillor Winter.
Do we have to adopt them, or can we defer them to the? Can we vote to defer them to the F&GP like we did with the complaints procedure? Because people haven't had enough chance to see them.
F&GP will be reviewing these.
Yeah, so we can't we can't vote tonight to adopt them as they are because they need to go to F&GP.
You can adopt them as they are. What is wrong?
Well, you can't, because you can't make a decision, but then it has to be. You have to wait 6 months. No. So the F&GP is going to have to wait 6 months to then agree them again.
No, you can adopt them.
But that's an agreement, so they can't be...
You can adopt them on the basis that they're going to be looked at by the F&PG. I very much doubt, in a matter of several weeks, that they're going to review these and bring back to full council. The timeline will stretch a little bit on that, so I don't think it's not going to happen in one meeting, that's for sure. It's not going to happen in one meeting. Councillor Taylor.
I propose that we do defer them. And we don't discuss them now because we haven't read them. It's nonsense. This happened before the current time chart was imposed. It's obviously something which she inherited, and it's not her fault. And I think it's not fair to say we all knew this before. We didn't all know this before, or at least we haven't noticed that we haven't done. We might haven't realised the point you made. But I think it is clear that we shouldn't be adopting policies that we haven't read.
Councillor Gibson.
I just want to say for the record, it would gravely concern me if we don't adopt any employment policies for the 2 members of staff that we have. With my trade union hat on, I think it's I don't want to use too strong a word, but it's shameful we've gone a whole year without any of these policies in place. I know, I understand it's an error made, perhaps by a previous clerk, perhaps by a new council, but we need to get this straight.
Yeah, point taken. Councillor Tracy.
On the list, actually they're all under the heading of employment policies.
Yeah.
What's better? A faulty employment policy or no policy?
Sorry, can you speak that up?
Sorry, well, if we vote these through and then find next week they're not fit for what we want, things can happen in accordance with these policies. We need to get the policies that we want, not the former clerk
said she dates.
These policies have been drafted by the guidance of the current town clerk and are... Well, these ones are... Okay. You're quite correct. These are the interim town clerk's policies that have been put forward to us. Councillor Thomas.
Can I ask whether these policies are in line with recommendations from the Government Association, etc.? Because if they do come from a reputable body, I think we could safely adopt them for the time being, and then if there are any defects found with them, then we could change them. But if they can't come through a reputable process, that would mean that lawyers have scrutinised them very carefully and to ensure they do meet the vast majority of cases that come up in town and parish councils, in which case we can have a reasonable amount of confidence that they will be suitable policies.
Just again, clarification there. The current clerk, our town clerk, has got a contract of employment. On that contract of employment was presented a raft of policies, and the policies we're adopting here were those policies. So therefore, they are formulation of the contract of employment. What we are doing here is reviewing those policies that formulate the contract of employment. Review them at a further date, by all means, I think, but to actually not adopt them today, my own feeling is I don't think that's the right thing to do. But Councillor Winter.
They may have come under the contract of employment for our current town clerk, but I know for myself, I certainly did not see the contract of employment. I remember quite vividly that when we agreed to the contract of employment, which is in the minutes of the 9th of June, I believe the Deputy Mayor said she was the only one that had seen the contract of employment, because the references of the clerk were questioned by Councillor Harding. So I do not personally remember seeing the contract of employment.
Stop you there before you start talking about references for an individual that is in this room. I think that touches on personal details. And maybe
Mentioned anyone saying.
I think that's not the thing to do here. We are not here to go through that type of thing.
Okay, we'll accept some dodgy policies instead.
We're not here to go through this stuff. Councillor Baldwin.
Good luck,
Yeah, I remember.
Can I check? Oh, which one? Which one?
You got it wrong that time.
Who do you want? Do you want me to say it? Okay. I'd just like to ask what will, how it will be updated on our Facebook page and anywhere that it says that these policies were adopted when they were not. There's not a person in this room that can say they were. So what's going to happen about that, please?
I don't know. I haven't got the answer to that.
I know you'd say that. That's all right.
Yeah. Councillor Tracy.
Thank you, Chair. Taking your point about the contract and very much taking Councillor Thomas's point that these will be virtually standard NALC, ESAL, RAP conditions. I think we can review them, approve them, we can approve them, but then do a proper review as we should have done. And I think a year is fine. We shouldn't get to year 2 having not looked at these properly.
Yeah, point taken. Councillor Baldwin.
Really briefly, and not following over what anyone said, I haven't said in the past, but I just want to say, to reassure Councillor Thomas, that my understanding, and if you don't mind me asking the is that the policies that we've got, and indeed a booklet about employment which HR committee members were given, is that they're based on ACAS, is that right? So they are based entirely on guidelines from ACAS, so they're not being pulled out of the top of somebody's head. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Bransford.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I remember the discussion about the reference referring to reference, and Councillor Harding
I don't think we should be delving into that at this meeting. I do not feel we should be delving into those sort of issues at this meeting in open council in front of the person that was employed under those conditions.
Yeah, but I was going to defend.
It is, I don't know, but even though we should not be going down that route. Sorry. Councillor Thomas.
I think, given what has been the assurances that we see from the Deputy Mayor and also Councillor Drayson's point, we're dealing here with standard conditions which we can therefore safely trust and would, I think, be dangerous to leave people who are in employment with this council without the protections offered by a bargaining policy. And so I think, out of respect for people employed by the Town Council, it's our duty to confirm these policies.
Councillor Ruston?
Yeah, Councillor Thomas has just said it, but what the hell's that HR subcommittee done for the last year? It is so embarrassing. We're quick to point fingers, but it's quite obvious we can't even look after 2 members of staff. How the hell can we control the town? We can't.
Point noted, I don't think we need any further debate on this. I'm going to put this motion for this item on the agenda to Council for approval, to review the employment policies and procedures. All those in favour, please raise your hands. Thank you very much. All those against, please raise your hands. All those abstaining, that is carried. Thank you very much.